everybody, TJ and Cody here, the adequate atheist and the true amazing atheist, right here. I'm getting a little drunk. TJ's not because he's a pussy. I tried to get him to do it with me, but he said he was straight edge and he wanted to do it. Rum and Coke, baby. Let's get to the fucking questions.
Dear Cody and TJ, do you guys ever have a problem with stuttering whenever you're trying to film? I don't really stutter too much in, normal speech, but it seems like whenever I'm trying to film, I'll just, start stuttering for minutes on end.
This is the stuttering!
Ha! No! I don't stutter when filming. You only stutter when filming because you're a bitch! And you fucking suck. Cody stutters all the time, though. I've seen him do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's all like, the video that I want to make about, I don't know. What do you make videos about?
Fuck off, TJ. Give me that beer. Give me that fucking beer. You made me spill my rum on my dick.
I didn't make you do anything. I don't have mind control powers.
You got rum on my cock. Now you got rum on yours.
Dear Amazing Atheist, do you think there is an effective way for someone to become the President of the United States of America without being lobbied or having to rely on large corporations of funding?
When we first started this and we watched this video, my initial response was absolutely not. But then TJ was like a beacon of light.
Yeah. The only way I think someone could be president without massive corporate backing is if they were already a billionaire to begin with. In other words, someone who could finance their own campaign. Maybe not even a billionaire. If you had like $200 or $300 million and you were willing to spend your entire fortune to try to become president, you could do it. But if you're a billionaire, you could pretty comfortably finance an entire presidential campaign. Like, if Bill Gates wanted to be president, I'm not saying he could get it, but he could be, at least financially, he could compete. So, it's possible.
Hello, and I have several questions for you. Number 1, would you fuck me?
No, you're not really my type, dog.
I fuck the shit out of him. I'd be like, ride that fucking cock, bitch! Yeah!
But my real question is, do you think I look like a lesbian?
I didn't think it before, but now that you mention it...
I thought you were a lesbian.
Do I look like Velma from Scooby-Doo? What about now?
Jinkies!
Okay, realistic question right now. If you had superpowers, what would they be? Mine are to fuck people in the ear.
I always thought a cool superpower would be the power of absolute persuasion. Like, where you just know exactly what to say to persuade someone into doing something. It's different than mind control, because if you mind control someone, then they're just your mindless zombie. The power of absolute persuasion is different, because...
And way better.
You're actually convincing them with their own, logic and their own moral structure and whatever to do something.
And plus, if you had the power of persuasion, you would also have just inherently the ability to understand everybody's thought process.
Yeah, that's true. You'd be like a natural, perfect psychologist. What about you, Cody? What power would you have?
Probably invisibility, because I'd love to be able to fucking be like a fly on the wall in any situation.
That's true. Just hide out, see what people are really saying, you know?
Maybe I could have invisibility and also the ability to put me into people's thoughts to see what people really thought about me. Because I'm always wondering that. I'm always all my friends. I'm always wondering if when I'm not around, they're like, fuck him! I hate that son of a bitch!
If you could get a tattoo, what tattoo would you get?
I always assumed by the time I would be 23 years old, I'd be covered in tattoos, have sleeves and neck tattoos, and I don't have one.
Me neither.
And I think the reason is because every time I consider getting a tattoo, I'm like, yes, that's what I'm going to get. And then I think, man, do I really want that on me forever? Do I really, I've had this idea for 3 years of this whole sleeve. It's all detailed and ready to go. And then every time I get an appointment in, I'm just like, man, do I really want to do this? What if it sucks? That's the thing. You never know. You have to rely on someone else to not fuck.
You know what you should do? And I have the same problem as you, by the way. You know what we should both do? Is get an intentionally horribly lame tattoo so that none of our other tattoos matter. Just get a fucking tattoo of Sonic the Hedgehog right here. It's yeah, Sonic, brother! Represent!
It's funny you say that, because I used to be in a band with a guy that had, he was notorious for having bad tattoos. He had Celtic crosses on his wrist and shit. He had like a Dimebag Daryl tattoo. But he told me that once.
Dimebag.
He said that like he had one bad tattoo. So like if anybody was like just giving him like a home tattoo or something, I was like, well, what the fuck ever, can't be any worse than this one or this one or this one.
That's awesome. We could go down that path, Cody. That path could be ours, and it'd be fucking sweet. But I don't know. I plan on getting a tattoo, but maybe. I mean, I have to do it before I'm 30. I've determined that, but I'm not sure, because if I was sure about a tattoo, I would have gotten one already. The only thing that's stopping me is my uncertainty.
It's not just the uncertainty with me. Like, it's only uncertain. Like, the uncertainty is probably like 20% of it. The other like 80% is just like, man, I don't want to spend $1,000 on a tattoo. Which all the shit that I want, it would have to. If I got a tattoo, it would have to be from someone that knew what they were doing. And if you know what you're doing, you're gonna charge a lot of fucking money anyway. So maybe we just have to go back to just getting a shitty tattoo first, so it really just does not matter.
Then, because after that, like it's like when you fucking lose your virginity to the school slut. And you're just like, well, I gotta get laid. And then after that, that's like a confidence booster. You know? It's like
then you
the practice girl. Then it's like, then you find a real girl. It's the same way with tattoos. You just gotta get the Sonic the Hedgehog tattoo, or like the fucking Archie from like Archie Comics tattoo. Just like get the lamest tattoo you can. And then after that, it's like you can only go up, So.
The Archie tattoo might not be too bad, because what if it was the Veronica character blowing Archie, and it was like on his stomach, and she was bent over like this, so it's like her ass is in the frame, and you can make your belly button the sphincter.
That'd be pretty cool.
My dad hangs out.
And you could just like sit there fingering your own stomach
and get horny
in the mirror, and then you just jerk off. Like, ah!
My dad had this friend a long time ago that had a tattoo of a bunny rabbit on his belly, where his belly button was a rabbit's asshole, and it was like turning around with this innocent look on its face. And whenever you'd ask, like, why the fuck did you get that? He'd just say, man, coke is a crazy drug, man.
Another thing, too, is like there used to be this black guy that worked for my stepdad who had like a Tweety bird tattoo, but because he was like really black, like the yellow ink like barely showed up on his skin. So it just looked like this orange, dirty, like Tweety bird that if you're black, don't bother with the tattoo.
Of all the things that are beneficial to be white about, like a socioeconomic standpoint or, anything else, the biggest benefit to being white is it's like you're a canvas and your tattoos are actually going to look good.
Yeah,
or you'll be able to see them.
The darker your skin is, like, the worse your tattoos are going to look. There's a good reason why, don't sell sketch pads full of black paper. I mean,
I live in Colorado, and marijuana is practically legal here. I mean, everybody has a card, and everybody smokes pot. Everybody. And, I guess I was just wanting to ask, do you think that having a medical card and using medical benefits to get marijuana is worse than legalizing it, and why?
Medical marijuana, I don't really care what hoops you have to jump through. If we live in this falsely moralistic society and it will make people turn the other way if you have some crooked doctor that is like, hey, sure, here's some pot, buddy. I can deal with that. My problem with it is it's useless, because everybody I know in these states like Colorado and California, every human being I know that has one of these medical marijuana cards, it's literally just like, I went into a doctor, I told them I had nausea or something, and they suggested one thing, and I was like, no, what about pot? And that's all. Awesome. And that's all it took.
Yo, doctor, brah. It was like, I have migraines or something. So, make with the weed, brah.
I always think because obviously, if I was in Colorado or California,
why don't they just drop the fucking pretense? Is my question. Just stop with all this bullshit. Miracle. Just fucking give them the weed. Just
Well, see, that's the thing, though, man. Is you have to. Unfortunately, we live in a country where every step we make has to be arbitrary and half a step forward and then one step back. So this medical marijuana shit, if that's the pretense that these anti-marijuana advocates have to justify people smoking weed, fuck it, you can have it. I'll go get a fucking card. Just do it all over the place. Make
And, you know,
everything.
it leads to a culture of lies. That's my problem.
This whole country is a
Yeah,
culture
but like
of fucking lies.
all it does is just build on it just exacerbates it though. I mean, it's like, you know, all of a sudden people walk around like, oh, my nausea is fucking really bothering me. You know, and it's like this, like, it's another thing where, like, the entirety of our culture just, like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
Yeah, you know what's really going on, and I know what's really going on, but neither of us are going to talk about it openly.
Well, you can do the same thing with prescription pills. If you get Xanny bars or Klonopin or anything, really, it's the same shit. If you are a person that takes Xanax and you know another person that is, it's the same thing as someone that smokes weed. It's like, look at this, anxiety, huh?
Oh man, I'm feeling anxious. Better pop a few. Yeah, thanks, modern medicine.
I agree. If we lived in a country full of rational people, I would say drop the pretense. But unfortunately, we do not. So.
But my question though is like, isn't dropping the pretense like a step towards like creating that rational society?
You would think that, but I think in the country we live in, if you take that away, it's just gonna go right back to people being like, why do they need to smoke? Why can't they just load their bodies full of liquor? It's like, that's funny, is I know so many people, like my dad, for instance, when I was young and I smoked weed, I had a guy come to my house that was gonna sell me a bag, and he had all of his shit out, and he was like rolling. It's called a tulip, and what a tulip is it's like a joint that has a big flower at the end of it that's just full of fucking weed, and I was so stoked because it just looked like, I'm gonna get baked as shit today, it's gonna be great. Sure enough, I hear a door shut behind me, and I look over, and my dad's there, first of all, my dad was at my neighbor's house, and he had a fucking beer in his hand, and he didn't notice the irony when he was like, what are you doing smoking weed? But, you know... But he fucking kicked the guy out of my house, like, you're not gonna deal drugs in my house, boy! And he fucking, like, pushed him out the fucking door. I'm like, you just fucked me out of a tulip, Dad!
Your dad's cool.
Hey TJ, hey Cody. My science teacher has explained that you cannot have science without religion. You cannot have religion without science. How does that work?
What? Why don't you ask your science teacher about this? I mean, like, if I had a teacher say some stupid shit like that when I was a kid, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, first of all, the idea that you can't have religion without science is just patently false because religion existed before science was anything. So that's clearly wrong. And, I mean, what is the justification for the other way around? What is the justification for needing religion to have science? Like... yeah, well, we discovered that, you know, there's this force called gravity, and it's what's, you know, basically holding everything down to this little orb floating around in space. But it only operates if we believe that a man was nailed to some wood 2,000 years ago. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and isn't religion what people used before they had science to explain how the fuck they got there in the first place? Like, to me, religion is the anti-science. It's what people used before they knew anything about fucking...
Yeah, religion is like science, like version 0, basically.
Yeah, science...
Like, that was science in beta testing, you know, like... maybe we was created by a giant donut what come from the sky.
You know what I think? I think the Earth is the center of the universe. And I
think the universe is the center of the Earth. Yeah, so your teacher's retarded.
Yeah, tell your teacher he's fucking stupid.
Show him this video.
Yeah.
Tell him you asked 2 guys on the internet a question about what he said.
Yeah.
And this is their response.
You tell him you asked 2 guys with no college education, and they still pwned his ass.
Yeah.
So, fuck off, science teacher.
Fuck you.
You shouldn't be teaching science. That's all I gotta say.
Science.
I had a teacher. I had a science teacher like that when I was in middle school. The kind of guy that tried to justify all of his scientific reasoning with religion, even the shit that completely defied it in the first place. Like he was a Christian evolutionist, which to me is a fucking contradictory term.
Yeah, like God created man, but very slowly.
Over a long stretch.
He just kind of set up the conditions where man would fucking be the result.
I know a lot of people, like these Christian evolutionists, that say since God doesn't have a perception of time because theoretically he can't die for whatever reason, that the process of creating humans, which seems like
unless you take him in his direct sunlight or stake him with a... Oh wait, no, that's vampire. Sorry.
same thing.
Go ahead.
Next question.
Hey TJ and Cody, my question is, if you could break one law, any law, and get away with it, what law would you break and why?
If I could break one law, I would just walk into like a DEA office and smoke a blunt of the best pot that I could find. And not because I've been arrested for weed, because I never have before, but I've had such a stigma with police, with drug usage. It would just be awesome to just go up to a cop and do something that was illegal and have him not be able to do a goddamn thing about it. It'd be wonderful. All the shit that I dealt with I got pulled over 27 times in October of 2008. I counted. Because a cop found out what my license plates were and I lived in a small town, so I was isolated. Whenever he saw me, he pulled me over because he thought specifically that I had weed on me. Because I got fucking bags under my eyes and I look like I fucking smoke pot. And I do smoke pot. But that wasn't the point. The point is, it would all be justified if I could just one time go into that cop station. I don't need a DEA office. Let me go to my hometown, walk into the cop station, have a conversation with a cop, and I don't even want to blow smoke in his face. I want him to smoke with me. Me and the fucking sergeant of the police force, and then he could trip out and freak out and like further justify all of his reasons why banning fucking weed is a great idea. That's what I would do. What would you do, TJ?
If I could break any one law and just get away with it, scot motherfucking free. That's tough. I think I'd go find this one teacher that I had that I really hated because he was like a douchebag, and I'd go fucking like when I was like a teenager, I would say that I'd go and like fucking kill him because I hated him that much then. But like my hate's kind of worn down, so now I would just settle for like maiming him horribly now. Just like chop off both of his arms and legs and and gouge out his eyes and rip out his tongue and fucking like put a feeding tube down his throat and then charge people $1 to fuck him in the ass. I'd settle for that now.
I think the more important question there though is, why do you hate this human being even now, like a million years after the fact?
He was just such a dick. He was like, he was a science teacher. He didn't know jack shit about science, first of all.
Kind of like the last guy.
And he had this like big fucking like bushy Nietzsche mustache. And
well, that sounds pretty cool.
It wasn't. Because he was like, I don't know, just like, he had this like, his hair was like curled all tight and shit. And he had like...
It sounds like you're describing Borat.
Kind of. He kind of, and he walked, like, he told this like story to the class about how like one time he like beat his kid and shit. And then he told this other story about, and then one time these people were fucking like messing with the Bunsen burner and like, well, they weren't messing with it, they were just doing the experiment. Like someone dropped a fucking glass or something and it broke. And he got like furiously angry at them and started like shaking. And like his face was like beet red, like he wanted to strangle them to death, like they'd fucking broken intentionally.
I guess that's the difference between Louisiana schools and the Illinois school that I went to. Because my teachers knew that if they screamed at me or yelled at me and I were to like tell my parents, that they would immediately get in trouble. So they did this passive aggressive shit where they'd be like, they would try to like insult you, but without getting mad. So there's nothing you can really say. Like, be like, well, you know, I might. I called one of my teachers like a bald asshole once. And he's like, well, I might be bald, but at least I'm not retarded, Cody. But he said it really under his breath, and like, you go to the office right now.
In relation to your space fish video, I wonder how you both feel about how we have not yet claimed another planet in the solar system, let alone the galaxy, as home, or at least as another colony.
It definitely sucks. It sucks for two reasons. It sucks for a social reason in that you basically have to tell kids, at least in America, that the chances of them becoming an astronaut are pretty dim.
Yeah, and that sucks because when I was a kid, being an astronaut was something you could actually be.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be an astronaut, you could aspire to be that. Now, if you're a kid, like, I want to go to space someday, to be like, I'm sorry, but we don't do that anymore because we're too busy spending money on wars and fighting a corrupt war on drugs.
Yeah, but the more important reason that the fucking de-emphasis of space exploration is bad is because I don't know how you can show someone like a thing about the size of the universe and how small our planet really is without them just being like, oh shit. I mean, like, we're like literally, like, the fate of our entire species is literally tethered to this one rock.
Yeah.
And if we don't fucking get off this rock, eventually it's gonna fucking, we're gonna go through a mass extinction. There's gonna be a fucking meteor, or there's gonna be a fucking a pole shift, or there's gonna be some fucking horrible disaster that wipes us fucking out. I mean, it's happened. We've had mass extinctions on this planet before. We don't have fucking dinosaurs anymore. I mean, to fucking tie our fate to this planet is a bad idea. You know, we should be focusing on doing like the bacteria and spreading. We got plenty of empty space to spread through.
I think that we're too selfish of a species to think that far ahead.
Yeah.
Because, especially at this point in our time, like, if there was a risk that the sun was going to burn out in, like, say, 10 years... I guarantee you our species would be exacerbating the process of going somewhere else.
Yeah, we need to figure this shit out now!
But because it's like, well, it's not going to happen for fucking billions of years, millions of years, whatever. We can just let future generations worry about it. But that's the problem, because we've lost our imagination. It seemed like in the 60s and the 70s, there was some kind of spark that, like, they wanted to further our evolution and speed it up.
We need someone to compete with, because back then we were competing with the Russians, and it was like, fuck, we gotta beat the Ruskies to the moon! And now it's just like, Russia's like a joke. Like, so some other country needs to step up and be like, yeah, we're going to Mars! And then America be like, fuck no! We gotta go to Mars first!
You know, the worst part about it is since they've discovered water on Mars, theoretically, it is possible that Mars could just literally be a fuel station.
Yeah.
But instead of...
You could also... I mean, it also means there's potential for terraforming. But I mean, I guess there's potential for terraforming everywhere if you can get the resources.
Right. But I think... I mean, I'm speaking just from like a purely like exploratory perspective, that if you could use Mars as just like a checkpoint to go to somewhere else even. Like, I think it should be our #1 priority to put our species in other places to ensure that our species doesn't, just corrode and...
Or what about these fucking, you put the species in fucking stasis, and, you put like, a number of people in stasis, and you just start flying to some planet. I mean, if you're in stasis and it's maintained, then theoretically you could be asleep for like 300 or 400 years to make a fucking huge journey to some other planet, and if you have all the materials there, and nothing goes wrong, then you should be able to come up and then, terraform the planet, or maybe even find a planet that already has some vegetation and shit somewhere out there.
I think a good question, though, is, let's say that this wasn't, like, the world we live in wasn't the world we lived in, and we had really, like, pursued this, and there was, like, we could just go if we wanted to. You and me both are afraid of fucking heights and, like,
yeah, I ain't going.
Weirdest shit. Like, would you stay here?
I ain't going. Fuck no. I ain't doing that. Yeah. Someone should, but not me.
It's kind of funny, right? Like we get so mad about these
fucking bastards!
Fuck these assholes! But I wouldn't do it.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like just like the marijuana thing, though. I mean, it's like I don't do it, but I'm pissed off that other people can't.
My head. Should I tattoo it?
You kind of look like that WWF wrestler named Bam Bam Bigelow.
It's WWE now, Cody.
But
it wasn't time.
It wasn't when...
Give it fucking time.
Fuck the times. It was better when it was the WWF.
Agreed.
Anyway, when it was the WWF, you kind of look like a wrestler named Bam Bam Bigelow. You're probably not as large as him. However, you should just try to become like a Bam Bam Bigelow impersonator. You could probably make a little bit of extra money.
Did he have a facial tattoo?
He had like tattoos all over his fucking head.
Cool. I don't remember the guy, so... I was thinking you should do is just have a tattoo that says, fuck the police.
You should get a tattoo of a face on the back of your head.
That'd be cool too. Just be like, yeah, and then like you just have like a thing over it's like always watching. You know?
And you never know. Like maybe later on, with the
maybe you'll be in prison one day and someone will think twice before shanking you because they'll like you can like spread the rumor that you can see out of the eyes.
That's what I was saying. Like like you could possibly with advancements in science in 10, 20, 30 years maybe. Actually get some eyeballs placed back there, and you literally could see in the back of your head.
Yeah, but you could just put the face there now, and then later, when they have the fucking, you can get like secondary eyes, you could just put those back there, and it'd be badass. Or you could just get some of those shades that have mirrors on the side so you can see behind you.
They have glasses with mirrors.
Yeah, like spies use them and shit, like private investigators and stuff. You can see everything's going on behind you at any given time.
Oh damn! I want a pair of those. I didn't even know those existed.
I'd imagine if you ever got those, you become super paranoid though.
I'm already super paranoid. Everybody I meet, I realized the other day that I can't make new friends because everyone I meet I think is out to get me or is paid to fucking come after me for some reason.
That's awesome.
Like I meet someone and my instant reaction is, "You're a cop." I'm not even doing anything bad. And I'm just like, you're gonna try to bust me for something or scapegoat me into something, and I can see it in your fucking face. I don't say it like to them. I'm like, hey, buddy. But in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck you.
See, Cody, you'll make a good businessman one of these days, because you already have that businessman mentality that George Carlin talked about, where the businessman meets the other businessman and automatically assumes that other guy is trying to fuck him, and he's like his objective becomes to fuck that guy twice as hard first. You're halfway there.
I'm halfway there. Paranoia is the first step to a successful business.
Yeah. It really is. That's why like all the old kings and shit, like they don't trust anybody. Like they're in power, but they're like so fucking nervous. She's like, my advisor! He's fucking trying to betray me! Trying to lead me straight, kill him! Guards, get him! Those guards are too powerful! Other guards, get the guards!
I hear a lot of talk from you guys about Marilyn Manson and your band Ren, Cody, and its influences. I like both of that stuff. I was wondering if you guys have a broader spectrum of tastes in music.
First of all, I don't know why I'm getting lumped in to this Manson stuff. I like Manson, but I don't like view him as like an idol or anything like that. Like, TJ told me once that he considered getting a whole back piece of different variations of Manson. I would never do that. Ever. I would say, though, that my musical taste is a lot deeper than TJ's.
It ranges from garbage to crap. And everything in between.
Comes from the dude that listens to fucking nothing but Leonard Cohen and Tom Waits. Nothing wrong with those guys, but TJ has like 3 bands that he'll listen to, and he swears by them. But if you show him anything else, even if he secretly likes it, you can tell if TJ likes something because he does this thing where he'll tap his thumb on his leg and you know that he's digging it. But if you try to get him to admit that he's digging it, he's like, no, it's garbage.
That's me tapping my thumb to try to I'm trying to fucking inflict pain on my fucking thumb so I can distract me.
What about that Murder by Death band? Every time I'm like, these guys kick ass. Every time I show you, you don't know who they are, and then I tell you who they are, and you're like, oh, never mind.
I don't know. I never said that. I always mean to check them out, but I just don't, because like every time I feel like listening to some music, am I going to listen to some new shit that I don't know the words to?
Yes.
I don't know the words.
Yes,
I don't
it doesn't
know the
matter.
words to anything.
That music shouldn't be just about words. The atmosphere is the most important part, how it makes you feel. You shouldn't even listen to a song the first couple times and even pay attention to the lyrics. You should just what the fucking song is as a whole.
The fuck are you talking about?
The whole process.
The song is just like a lyrical delivery system. That's like all the fucking music is meant to be. The only time you should listen to music purely for the sake of music if it's like classical and there's like a huge orchestra or something.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, because like you're gonna listen to some guy just plucking string like. I guess if like in a movie or something it can enhance the mood, but music is usually meant to like enhance something else. It's not usually a standalone thing.
I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, they got scores that fucking enhance fucking
well, scores are meant to enhance a film,
plays,
but a song that's
scenes.
just a standalone
To
song.
me, like most songs are meant to like enhance the lyrical content of the song.
I don't think so. But that's coming from the perspective of someone that.
But that
writes
well,
stuff.
I think that's how most of the bands that I listen to operate anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean that's obviously how like Tom Waits operates. And
I mean, I'm thinking
Cohen.
like I think they kind of like start from a lyrical perspective and then build music around that. But I don't know. I don't know for sure.
My tastes go from I like stuff like Explosions in the Sky all the way to Every Time I Die. And that rhymed. That sounded like that was meant to, like I meant to do that. And I didn't. I'm a poet and I don't know it. You like Every Time I Die too, cocksucker. Every time I put them on, you're like, yeah, this is fucking good.
What do they sing again?
Next question.
Did your parents give you chores? And if so, how did you handle it? Did you cuss them out, or did you just do them?
I used to... Damn it. I'm getting the stink eye from your damn smoke. Son of a bitch. No, when I used to get chores as a kid, I would just say, like, yeah, I'll do it, and then I just wouldn't.
Yeah, Scotty...
It was a very passive-aggressive
Scotty
thing.
was telling me that growing up with TJ sucked because his parents expected him to be the responsible one. And if he didn't do the dishes one day, he'd get bitched at to no end. But if TJ didn't do dishes, it'd just be like, well, that's just TJ.
Yeah, if you want to get away with shit, make people think it's just an ingrained part of your personality. That's the message here. That's the moral.
It's true, because, like, once you get older, it's like even girls you date, if they fuck around a lot, it just becomes, like, part of their personality to some people. Like, well, that's just the stuff she does, you know?
Yeah, like, anytime you can get away with something and just be like, well, that's just how fucking Schlemiel lives, you know?
When I was a kid, I had it pretty made because my dad wouldn't let me do any fucking chores. He wouldn't let me do dishes. He wouldn't let me mow the lawn. I don't know why. He just never fucking let me. Like, I'd be like, he had this fucking sweet rider mower and it went really fast if you put on, like, rabbit speed. I'm like, Dad, can I do the lawn? I was, like, the only kid that wanted to do the lawn. And, like, I'd go to school and kids would bitch that their parents made them do shit like that. And I would beg to be able to. They'd be like, no!
Hey TJ, I'm 10Phoenix01. The question I have for you is, what do you think about when you're on the toilet? Because I certainly think about you.
I think the more important question here is, are you taking a dump?
Yeah, like, really? I know you're on the toilet, but are you really taking a shit as you're fucking filming this?
Right, like were you taking a dump and playing on your phone and then you saw the questions video or like, check this out? Or was it more like you had to think about it first and just make it seem that way?
Yeah.
Are you a phony or is this genuine? And if it is genuine, why was there no shot of the product?
I know, you should have been like, check out my turd!
Not that I want to see that shit.
But just for authenticity.
Yeah, like you gotta at least verify that you're not
I mean, you know, we don't want to see your shit, but we have to.
Yeah.
To confirm.
For science.
But when I'm on the toilet, I usually just play Words with Friends on my iPhone.
I browse. Or I'll listen to music.
Yep.
That's about it.
Fuck off!
Hello TJ, hello Cody. I just wanted to know what you do when the stupid meter cooks over. I gotta explain this. When I see your videos, I rage. Because I'm German and we have no Fox News, we have no Bill O'Reilly, we have no TV preachers, no Pat Robertson, no Rush Limbaugh. Our newspapers never print anything about Armageddon and shit like that.
First of all, I'd like to say that I enjoy your accent. I like the German accent. You can't sound like a pussy with a German accent, even if you have like an effeminate personality.
Yeah.
It's like
that's why my aggressive gay German character is always so off-putting to people, I think, because it sounds so masculine.
Do it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Touch my ass, Cody!
No!
Touch it!
No, okay, I'm uncomfortable. I take it back.
It always makes people uncomfortable.
Well, only because it wouldn't have made me uncomfortable if you just verbalize it, but you put your ass in my face.
Well, you have to do it. You have to do that for it to work. You have to have, like, it's kind of like a more German-Austrian mix, but still, just any aggressively masculine kind of accent like that, where you're, like, aggressively gay and trying to fucking hit on men in, like, a really fucking hyper-aggressive manner, that's always funny. But, that's not the question. The question is how to deal with stupidity.
Oh, yeah.
Cody's acting like, done! He did not even address the point. Stupidity, right. I guess that if you live in America, stupidity is just so ingrained that you're either someone who is stupid, in which case you're just eating that shit up and you're like, yeah, or you're someone like us who's looking at it and just kind of like, well, it is what it is.
You can't
like
do
we
anything
don't.
about
You
it.
have to understand that we don't come from an environment where there's anything different. Like that's just the standard.
Yeah.
We know there's stupid stuff out there, and there's really nothing we can do.
Not only do we know that there's stupid stuff out there, but we know that the dumbest shit possible tends to become the most popular, and it's kind of like evolved into this weird thing, and it's moved on into other countries and cultures. Like, I mean, maybe not with like your politics, but I guarantee even this German dude knows who like Rebecca Black is, who got famous by being terrible. Like even 10 years ago, that would have never happened, you know. But today, it's just like people don't want to watch stuff to be like inspired by something. They want to hear something or see something so they can feel better about themselves because what they're watching is so.
And it's almost like people like me will like sit around watching things like Katy Perry videos and stuff just to hate them.
See, I used to do that shit too, but I can't anymore.
I used to know a lot of people that would watch Bill O'Reilly just to make fun of him. Like, they'd watch Fox News and just sit there with their, like, popcorn or whatever and just, you fucking idiots! You know? So,
well, sometimes
I think there is a healthy contingency of just mockery. And maybe that's a coping mechanism. You know, we deal with the stupidity of our culture by mocking it. But maybe that itself has gotten out of hand and has started to become part of the problem because it seems like we started to prop up things that are stupid. Just, you know, like the Miracles video or Rebecca Black's Friday are two good examples. So yeah.
There you go, Mr. German man.
So sad, there's no